If you're writing a sitcom script, you might actually be writing a movie by mistake. Don't do this. I've read a lot of sitcom scripts that make this mistake time and time again, and the way they're telling the story and setting up their sitcom is like they're actually writing a really long movie. Now, in this video, I'm going to explain why sitcoms and movies are actually really different from each other and walk us through a worked example to ground it so that we can avoid making this mistake, which is actually a really easy one to make. How does it happen? Well, if you've got a blank sheet of paper and you want to tell a story about a character, you want to start that story at the beginning, right? You want it to be exciting and you want to explain it all from the beginning. Don't do this. At least don't put it in your pilot script. Maybe you need to know it in your head as to how the story started. But I've been explaining why in a sitcom this is a really bad idea and that you should start in the middle. Do watch one of those episodes, which is up here. Now, how are people writing a movie by mistake? Now, maybe you've read books or you've been to seminars or storytelling workshops and you've heard how a story should start. It should start with, once upon a time, there was a character in a situation. And then they kind of roll along like this. But one day there was an inciting incident. And so, Act 2, the character went on a journey. But then the character met an obstacle, which led to another, even bigger obstacle. Until eventually, Act 3, the character kills the dragon and gets the girl. Or the character wins the contest and discovers that winning isn't everything. Or the character self-actualizes, turns into a red panda permanently or whatever and succeeds in their quest. And they all live happily ever after. Great, fun story. Yeah, that's a movie. It's not a sitcom. In a sitcom, your characters are trapped in an Act 2 permanently. For years. Ideally for 8 seasons or at least 100 episodes. Because sitcoms are about the characters and the relationships, not the overarching story of the life of your main character. Now, each week, there's a story that puts those characters and relationships under pressure in interesting and original ways. But there's no final Act 3 that resolves it all like you get in movies. So at the end of the episode, Frasier or Niles or Leslie Knope or Sheldon or Liz Lemon or Captain Holt are exactly the same at the end as they were at the beginning. They don't change. In that sense, it's actually true to life. Our friends, our families, our neighbours, our enemies don't change. Now, in movies, characters tend to learn and are transformed by an experience, usually by leaving their regular day-to-day and going on an adventure or a quest. But sitcoms are about the relationships in that regular everyday today, even if that day-to-day is a mobile military hospital in the Korean War, or the war in Afghanistan, or you're the last human being alive stuck with a hologram, an evolved cat, and a robot. So if you're creating a sitcom and writing the pilot script, make sure you are writing a sitcom, not a movie. Now let's look at a practical example as promised. Here we go. Here's a sitcom I've just made up. It's called White Hats, a term used for people who try to hack for information to expose weaknesses of systems, but they are good people, or at least they are good in their own eyes. So the hero is Patrick, a white hat computer hacker. He's basically honest and good, but he believes that information should be free. And he's a bit of a show-off, especially to Sarah, who's even more idealistic than him. And because they're both young, they are yet to learn that maybe life and international politics is a bit more complicated than it first appears. Now, it's tempting to write a sitcom about Patrick and Sarah and their ragtag underdog fellow snarky hackers, and how Patrick has to learn why some information is best kept secret. So like in episode 1, egged on by Sarah, he hacks into the Pentagon mainframe. Let's really go for it. And he gets caught at the end of the episode, so he has to go on the run, and he ends up on some Scottish remote island without internet access. And so in episode 2, suddenly they're stripped of tech, which would be funny because they're useless at everything else. And then with Sarah and Patrick, we'll get a little bit of will they, won't they? And then in episode 3, the drones track him down, or maybe his phone signal gives him away, and he finds out that he was onto something all along. And maybe he has to deliver a thumb drive to someone in the Vatican or something who is able to avert World War III or whatever. Now, that may be very funny and very exciting, but it's not a sitcom. It's a movie. Or it's a comedy, drama, thriller series with a strong central relationship and possibly even jokes. But fundamentally, the story is the star and it's not actually a sitcom. Now, if White Hats were a movie, I'd watch that. In fact, I probably have seen that. That's kind of Sneakers or War Games or Enemy of the State. But we're writing sitcoms. What should the white hat sitcom be? How can we make sure we're not writing a movie by mistake? Don't forget, we're in the permanent Act 2, okay? We're trapped here in Act 2 permanently. It's the day-to-day. It's about the characters and the relationship. What was the funny part of the idea that I outlined earlier? The bit where Patrick and Sarah are stuck together on the Scottish island without tech, which shows us that this sitcom isn't about tech. Whew, thank goodness. It's about that central relationship between Patrick and Sarah. That's the key. That's the bit that people are going to tune in for, because they both love tech and they both love each other, but they can only talk code. They don't know how to talk to each other. They don't know how to express their feelings to other human beings. And so each week, this is going to play out in their tech bunker, which is a disused warehouse where they're also mining for crypto and running some kind of IT business whilst trying to win computer gaming tournaments and running Twitch channels or whatever. And these relationships all play out in a similar but different way each week. It's familiar, but it's original. Now, if you want a good example of how to do a tech sitcom, don't watch Sneakers. That's a movie. Watch Silicon Valley. It's never about the tech or the app. I mean, there's obviously an element of it, but it's always about the relationships. So if you're wanting to write a pilot sitcom script, make sure you're not writing a movie. That's it. Thanks for watching. To get more on characters and relationships and storylining, join my mailing list and you'll get access to some free webinars that I ran on those subjects. And also don't forget to subscribe. See you next time.